Good afternoon, and welcome to UMBC's undergraduate commencement exercises. The ceremony will begin in a few minutes. First, a few notes for your safety and comfort. Please note the exits around the arena. Emergency medical services are available on the concourse level behind section 101. During the ceremony, please do not leave your seats to take photographs or videos. Aisles must remain clear at all times, and guests are not allowed on the main floor. As we prepare to begin our ceremony, please silence your cell phones. We ask that all guests stay until the end of the ceremony out of respect for our graduates and UMBC. Please welcome our UMBC brass quintet, including Kurt Dupuis, trumpet, David Necula, trumpet, Patrick Crossland, trombone, Chandra Cervantes, French horn, and Brian Kaufman, tuba. Please turn your attention to the far end of the arena floor and stand for our commencement procession. The procession of graduates is led by the student marshal, Dr. Tamra Mendelson, the 2022 recipient of the Presidential Teaching Professor Award and Professor of Biological Sciences. She is accompanied by our student marshals, Imani Conway, a student in public health, and Alexis Johnson, a student in financial economics. The faculty and staff procession is led by Staff Marshal Helena Dahlin, winner of the 2022-23 Presidential Distinguished Staff Award for non-exempt staff, an executive administrative assistant in the Division of Information Technology. The staff and students marshals are carrying batons that the UMBC Alumni Association gave to the university in honor of our 40th anniversary in 2006. The platform party is led by the Grand Marshal, Dr. Susan McDonough, President of the Faculty Senate and Associate Professor of History. The Grand Marshal carries the University Mace, the symbol of presidential authority. Used only on formal academic occasions, UMBC's Mace was commissioned by the Alumni Association for UMBC's 20th anniversary in 1986.
The 80th Commencement exercises of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County will now be in order. Please rise for our national anthem performed by Regina Catherine Aquino, a senior soprano vocal performance major on the pre-nursing track. Regina is honored to represent the music department today. Her performance will be accompanied by a presentation of the colors by UMBC's Naval ROTC program. Please remain standing throughout the anthem and until the colors have retired.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Regina. That was a wonderful rendition. And thank you to the NROTC. Everyone, please be seated. As we welcome you to UMBC, we wish to acknowledge that UMBC was established upon the land of the Piscataway and Susquehannock peoples. Over time, citizens of many more indigenous nations have come to reside in this region. We humbly offer our respects to all past, present, and future indigenous people connected with this place. Now, I am pleased to introduce the president of UMBC, Dr. Valerie Shears Ashby. It is with great excitement that we celebrate the first spring commencement of UMBC's president. President Valerie Shears Ashby was officially appointed in August and formally installed a few weeks ago in April. She is UMBC's 6th president and the first woman to serve in the role. You've anticipated my next request, but please join me in welcoming President Valerie Shears Ashby.
Good afternoon. Oh, you can do better. Good afternoon. Oh, it is a wonderful afternoon. On behalf of our entire community, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 80th commencement ceremony for the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. To the families and friends of our graduates, we are delighted that you have joined us from near and far to celebrate and honor these outstanding students. I also want to welcome those graduating students, family members, and friends who are joining us online. Thank you for being a part of today's ceremony. Thank you as well to my fellow campus leaders who are here with us today, to the academic and administrative leaders, to shared governance leaders, members of the Commencement Executive Committee, and the Presidential Faculty and Staff Award winners. Welcome and thank you for being here. Yes, we can thank them. In addition to this afternoon's undergraduate exercises for the College of Engineering and Information Technology, the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences, and the Division of Undergraduate Academic Affairs, we hosted another undergraduate ceremony this morning for the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, the Erickson School of Aging, Aging Studies, and the School of Social Work. Yesterday, we held a wonderful ceremony to award master's and doctoral degrees. Graduates and families, today is your day. And I know I do not have to tell you how special today actually is. I can tell you on a personal note that this is my first spring commencement as president of UMBC, and so I'm particularly excited to celebrate with you. But I have to tell you, even if it were my 10th or 20th, I would still be full of joy, as would my colleagues among the faculty and staff of this beloved community. This is because we delight in seeing each class of undergraduates fulfill the promise that we saw in you when we admitted you to UMBC. Your journeys to this moment are the story of UMBC itself, and it is a story we know and love. The story is in the numbers. In this afternoon's ceremony, we will award 779 bachelor's degrees in 16 majors to students from across the state of Maryland, throughout the country, and around the world. This is our largest ever commencement ceremony for these colleges. The story is also in the context. You, the members of the class of 2023, pivoted and persevered through a global pandemic in a time of so much uncertainty that the word unprecedented lost its meaning. You rose to the challenge of a racial reckoning in the wake of George Floyd's murder and took up the fight against inequality and climate change in a country and a world deeply divided. I think we have to look back about 50 years in another era of recent US history to find such tumult and sweeping social change. Then, as now, college students have led the way. And the story, of course, is in the individuals. There is a wonderful collection of some of these stories on UMBC's website, profiling our graduating students who have examined how to unlock the mystery of black holes, studied bird evolution in Puerto Rico, learned the power of mentorship by supporting others, facilitated social change through writing and conversation, applied philosophy to chemical engineering, and honed their own talents while practicing equity-focused music education in the Baltimore community. There are many stories there and hundreds more in this room today. Each of you has a story that we are honored to celebrate today. One chapter of your story concludes today as you receive your bachelor's degrees, but there are many more chapters for you to write, and we cannot wait for your stories to unfold. And so I offer to you, the class of 2023, congratulations. And now, it is my pleasure to share a short video with a greeting from the 63rd Governor of Maryland, the Honorable Wes Moore.
It's Governor Wes Moore. And on behalf of the people of Maryland, I'd like to offer my deepest congratulations to the class of 2023. You all have gone on an impressive and a defining journey. This class includes people from all kinds of backgrounds, including returning students, graduates who are the first in their family to attend college, members of the military, and working professionals, all of whom put in the work and the time and the attention to earn an advanced degree. Today's graduation stands as a major milestone on your path of lifelong learning, and I'm thrilled for you all. Getting this far and reaching this day, it demonstrates something powerful, your belief in the power of education. It demonstrates the evidence of your willingness to invest in yourselves, and I congratulate you on the fortitude you've shown in making that investment. I also want to note the sacrifices some of you have made to be here. Throughout the years, in order to get to this day, you, as well as your loved ones, have had to make meaningful sacrifices that weren't always easy. From missed birthday parties to sleepless nights to taking time off work. You braved it all, and now an abundant future awaits you. So as you go forth, take all that you've learned and pledge to use it for good. Building a brighter future for our state and our entire world will require graduates like all of you doing their best and giving their all. And I look forward to being on that journey with you. I wish you all the best in your personal and professional goals.
Our sincere thanks to Governor Moore, and it was a pleasure to welcome him to UMBC a couple of weeks ago. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Regent Farah Hillel, a member of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents. Farah is also a UMBC Retriever, a member of the class of 2024, and a Sondheim Public Affairs Scholar in the UMBC's Honors College. We are pleased to have her here to deliver greetings on behalf of the Board of Regents. Please join me in welcoming Regent Hillel.
Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Regents and as a fellow Retriever, let me say congratulations. It is great to see so many familiar faces in the audience today. I'm especially pleased to be here with our president, Dr. Valerie Shears Ashby, as she presides over her first commencements since her formal installation as president last month. Already in her tenure as president, Dr. Shears Ashby has established herself as a dynamic leader and advocate for all students. She's particularly passionate about meeting the needs of underrepresented communities in higher education and creating supportive and inclusive spaces to facilitate their academic success. I also want to recognize and thank the outstanding faculty and staff at UMBC. Thanks to your collective vision, leadership, and hard work, UMBC continues to thrive as an institution nationally known for its educational excellence and impactful service. But most importantly, I am honored to be here to recognize and congratulate you, the UMBC class of 2023. Your hard work and sacrifice have paid off. Congratulations. I also know your family and friends take pride in what you have accomplished. They have shared in your sacrifice and certainly should share in your success today. As a student here at UMBC, I know firsthand how challenging and how rewarding your journey has been. Today, you become an enduring part of UMBC's proud and impressive legacy. I wish you all the best as you move into this next stage of your journey as a Retriever alumni. Please stay in touch with each other and our community. The entire University System of Maryland family wishes you the best in the years to come. And of course, once again, I offer each and every one of you a well-deserved congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regent Halal. We appreciate the support of the Board of Regents, and we are so proud to have you represent UMBC. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to start by extending my congratulations to our graduates on behalf of the entire UMBC community. Of course, we had very high expectations when we welcomed you as a member of the UMBC community, and those expectations were based upon your promise as scholars. And today, we celebrate your fulfillment of that promise. You will join the tradition of UMBC alumni who, through their life's work, continue to advance our understanding of our own humanity, our democracy, the natural world that surrounds us, and most importantly, make a difference in the lives of others. Your diploma represents not just your academic achievement, but the friendships you formed, the faculty who nurtured you, and the family and friends who supported you and helped you arrive here today. And so I hope you will see your achievement as emerging from within the context of a community that knows you and cares about you. My greatest hope is that your experience as a member of our community will have provided you with the opportunity to reflect on the many values that we share together. Values such as excellence, commitment, hard work, inclusiveness, and a respect for the dignity of others. And perhaps the most important of these is integrity, which means putting your values into action. So as you look to the future, I believe that your fulfillment will derive from making the most of whatever talents have been bestowed upon each of you. And it lies in extending to the farthest limits the resources of your mind and of your heart. I'd like to leave you with a final salutation. May you enjoy a life rich in the knowledge that each day your work and your relationships have truly made a difference. Congratulations. Thank you so much. And now I am delighted to introduce our 2023 Valedictorian, Christopher Slaughter. Christopher will be graduating today with a degree in computer engineering. Before coming to UMBC, Chris attended Westminster High School and Floyd Kellam High School in Virginia Beach. A trip to Germany and Ghana in high school shaped his decision to not only pursue research, but to do so with a focus on health disparities. Chris is a member of the M31 cohort of the Meyerhoff Scholars Program and has done research in several labs, including in bioelectronics and sensor technology. In February, he was awarded the prestigious Gates Cambridge Scholarship, becoming the 5th UMBC student to win this award. He was also named a Goldwater Scholar in 2022 and served as president of the UMBC chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers. After graduation, Chris will pursue a PhD in electrical engineering at the University of Cambridge, with the goal of developing novel biomedical technologies that meet the healthcare needs of under-resourced communities. So please join me in congratulating our valedictorian, Chris Lauder.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Shears Ashby, Provost Rouse, family, friends, faculty, staff, esteemed administrators and alumni, and most importantly, my fellow graduates, our day has finally come. Let's make some noise. All right, to start off, graduates, I want you to look around at your friends, your family, your mentors who have nurtured and supported you along your journey for you to get to this day. Today would not be possible without them. I want you all to give a round of applause for your family members, everybody who supported you to get you to this point. Today wouldn't be possible without them. Today we rejoice and celebrate the great triumphs we've achieved during our time here. We recognize our friendships and bonds strengthened by adversity and uncertainty, the shared moments that have brought us together over the years. We nod to the late night studiers, the brave souls who battled fatigue, defied exhaustion, and proved that sleep might be for the weak. But more importantly, in the caffeine-fueled all-nighters, you can really find out what you're made of. But in all seriousness, we all should be very proud of what we've been able to accomplish during our time here. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Now, although our journey began here at UMBC, where we were unsure of our futures, we quickly learned the magic of this place. A place where we do not defer our dreams, but where we seed them, tend them, and watch them grow. These dreams survived a lot. A global pandemic that flipped our world upside down, followed by social unrest around the world and in our own country. Our struggles in these contexts have shaped and prepared us for what is yet to come. When I think about our remarkable time here at UMBC and how our class in particular has shaped UMBC, I know that we're leaving it a warmer and brighter place than it was when we first arrived. Together, we've all dreamed and counted down the moments to this day, and now it's finally here. This marks the end of our journey as undergraduates and the beginning of a new journey as postgraduates. And now we have to solve all the problems that are here today. This is a bit intimidating, isn't it? But we are ready. And one lesson we have learned that will carry us forward in this new journey is that change is constant in life. Change compels us to venture beyond the familiar and introduces new uncertainty and demands that we adapt to new circumstances, even if that means embracing failure. I learned this at an early age when my family relocated to Maryland from my hometown of Richmond, Virginia. I was only 9 years old at the time, and the prospect of leaving everything and everyone I had ever known was a little overwhelming. Even if it was only moving one state over, to me it was like moving across the country. This was a change that I hadn't requested and I certainly didn't welcome at the time, as I still felt I had something left to prove in Richmond. You see, when we were younger, in Richmond, we were allowed to take a placement test to get into selective magnet schools in the city. And growing up with my older brother, Josh, he aced it the first time, no problem. But let's just say I was a determined kid. And I would always tell myself that next time is my time, after my parents picked me up and brushed me off from all the tears. But life had an interesting thing in store for me because there would be no next time. And I learned two things from this experience. First, change is not something to fear. If I never moved to Maryland, I likely would have never made it to UMBC, where I met all of y'all in this beautiful community that supported me and not only told me I could become a scientist, but showed me I could become a scientist. UMBC is where I found heroes and scientists like Naomi Umburu, the university's first Rhodes Scholar, who showed a kid from Richmond that he could do and achieve anything that he set his mind to in science. The second thing that I learned is that failure is never final. I never did pass that test, and I never did go to that school in the city with my brother, but what I did learn was that when you fail, you have to get back up. And we've all failed over and over, again and again. However, each time we fail, a different path opens up for us, albeit a more arduous and complex path. This path promises new, different, and greater destinations than we could have ever imagined. And as we reach destinations beyond our undergraduate journeys, all of the late homeworks and the failed exams seem to pale in comparison to the glow of what we've been able to accomplish here today. We stand here not in spite of our changes and failures, but because of them. By the choices we make and how we responded to challenges put in front of us, we determined our own destinies. Now, my time is running out here, so I'm going to leave us with a quote from a dear mentor and professor of mine, Dr. Charles LaBerge, straight out of his UMBC famous LaBerge's Laws. It's short, simple, but resonates, and it's so true, whatever aspect of life you're in. And that is, problems should be solved by those who see them. Now, this is not just a principle for engineers, but it's an action call to everyone in here. Graduates, families, mentors, friends. As we step into the world, let's remember to tackle the problems we see head on, to make a difference wherever we find ourselves in this world. Let's commit to leaving our distinct imprints on reshaping the world into a better place for everyone, because that is the UMBC way. Congratulations, graduates. The world is waiting not just to hear your stories, but to see how your actions will shape it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. And I am just delighted whenever my students refer to their favorite faculty member. Can you stand up so everybody can see who you are? That just thrills me. So thank you to all of our faculty and staff for what you have poured into these students. And again, thank you, Chris. We are so excited for your future. And now it is my privilege to introduce our honorary degree recipient, Dr. Paula T. Hammond, who will deliver, I love it, who will deliver the commencement address. Dr. Hammond is an Institute Professor of Chemical Engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. For those of you who may not appreciate that, the Institute Professor is the highest faculty honor bestowed on faculty at MIT. It recognizes the best of the best at MIT. She also serves as head of the Department of Chemical Engineering and as a member of the Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research. She is a chemical engineer who designs nanoscale materials that can deliver drugs to specific parts of the body. Her research has included the design of particles that target chemotherapy drugs directly to tumor cells and nanostructured dressings that rapidly stop bleeding. She also has designed polymers to improve batteries, solar cells, and alternative fuel cells. Her science is extraordinary, and it aims no less than to improve humanity. She has published more than 330 papers and holds 20 patents. While she is among the most humble and gracious people you will ever meet, Dr. Hammond has been recognized time and again for her work and her contributions to science and to society. She is one of very few people in the country who have been elected to all 3 national academies: sciences, engineering, and medicine. She also has been elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and in 2021, President Biden appointed her to the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, the sole body of advisors from outside the federal government charged with making policy recommendations concerning science, technology, and innovation directly to the President and to the White House. Dr. Hammond is a native of Detroit, Michigan, where she found her love of chemistry in high school, where her teacher was the first woman who she had as an instructor in a science class. She finished high school a year early, and at the age of 16, began her undergraduate studies at MIT. She earned her bachelor's degree and PhD in chemical engineering from MIT and completed a postdoctoral research fellowship in chemistry at Harvard before joining the faculty of MIT. Personally, I have known Dr. Hammond since we were both graduate students and postdocs, and she has been a role model to me personally and professionally throughout my career. So I could go on, but I think we should hear from her instead. Before we do that, first, Dr. Hammond, we are delighted today to confer upon you an honorary degree. I would now like to invite Provost Rouse to the podium to assist me in conferring the honorary degree.
We are proud today to honor Dr. Paula Hammond with an honorary Doctor of Science degree for her groundbreaking research and dedication to inclusive excellence.
Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Maryland and given to me by the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and upon the unanimous vote of the Board of Regents, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, together with all of the rights and privileges thereunto pertaining. Congratulations, Dr. Hammond. I now invite you to give our commencement address. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is an amazing afternoon for me to receive this honor from my dear friend, Valerie Ashby Shears. I am so honored to be with you today, and I want to wish greetings to our esteemed President Shears Ashby, our Provost Rouse, our student regent and valedictorian, and members of this distinguished academic community. And a big congratulations to the fabulous class of 2023. It's such an honor to be with you today, to be able to participate with you in this special moment as you take the first steps out into the world with your new degrees and begin your journey to the next stage of your life as engineers, scientists, and technologists. I have learned so much about UMBC during my own professional career, and I have always respected and admired its mission in providing outstanding and accessible STEM training to a diverse student population. It is both exciting and memorable that this is the first graduation presided over by the first woman and the first woman of color as president, Valerie Shears Ashby. I have learned so much from her, and I know you will too. And looking out at you and who you represent in this event, every race, every skin tone, every language, culture, and heritage, you truly reflect the diversity of backgrounds of our nation, and you represent the power that such diversity brings to addressing the world's problems. So a little bit about myself and my own journey and why this broad set of backgrounds is so important to me. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I was born fortunate to have a mother and father who deeply valued education and were unique role models to me growing up. As for me, I have always been excited by science. The scientific world, what makes reactions happen? How do our bodies move? How does the natural world work? Can we understand it and can we model it? But it wasn't until I took a chemistry class in high school and got the chance to do actual experiments in a lab that I became totally committed. And it was the words of my high school chemistry teacher that encouraged me to look into becoming a chemical engineer. I ended up deciding on this path and ditching my plan to become a famous writer of children's science fiction. It led me to MIT to get my bachelor's degree. And when I arrived on campus, I was instantly happy to have found my people, my fellow technologists, all of us openly sharing our enthusiasm for science, math, engineering, speaking in complete and unreserved nerd speak. I was happy, but I was also scared. I was suddenly no longer top in the class. In fact, I had a lot of catching up to do. I was surrounded by brilliant people and suddenly feeling not so brilliant. My first exams were experiences in discovering the other side of the grading curve. And the courses were challenging in a manner that I just wasn't accustomed to. I had to openly admit to myself that I was challenged. There was a lot here for me to do, and frankly, I was not sure if and how I would make it. It is easy to give in to imposter syndrome, especially when things get tough. But I decided that by whatever providence or faith had brought me to this place, I was given this special opportunity, and I needed to seize it and use it to achieve my goals, my sense of purpose to ultimately make a difference for others. It is with this sense of self that I sought help from every source I could find, believe me, every source. I asked questions, I spent hours teaching and reteaching myself fundamental concepts, and instead of the old study methods, I tried new ones that would help me deal with this new material. I found friends to study with who served as incredible support systems. We worked collectively to hold each other up in spirit, to seek understanding in difficult problem sets, and share insights when the light bulb turned on for one of us. And slowly, it worked. I gained positive ground and was overjoyed to reach the point of gaining my bachelor's degree. This sense of self-purpose, of knowing your value to the world, is something that I want you to carry with you as you approach the world. It has been important to me at many points in my life. After working in industry as a process engineer for 2 years in Florida at Motorola, I moved to Atlanta to work as a research engineer at Georgia Tech Research Institute. And GTRI offered me the chance to pursue my master's while I was working there, so I went back to campus. And there, I fell in love with the idea of doing deep, far-sighted research. I had fallen in love with polymer science, designing these long-chain molecules that have so many different properties if you just change one little thing about them. And when I saw a polymer science doctoral program had been launched at MIT, I took a leap and applied and ended up back at MIT for my PhD 4 years after leaving it. By this time, I had married, And it turns out my son was born in the middle of grad school in my third year with 2 years left to complete the degree. I was very intentional at that time about choosing my thesis advisor and committee members as future mentors for my career. I found that my PhD advisor modeled how to balance the intensity of work while having a family. Another thesis committee member was very strategic. He often told me where I should be and what I should be doing if I wanted to pursue a career as a professor. He was also the most critical of my faculty members, always asking difficult scientific questions and pushing me to grow. My third committee member was a real cheerleader for me and my work. When I later joined the faculty at MIT in chemical engineering, years later, I learned that he was the one who recommended to our department head that I be approached about applying to that position. Each of these mentors was very different, but each provided valuable support, and I learned the importance of having multiple people in my life who can support me. So I encourage you to reach out to others as you build your career. Build, renew, and constantly refresh your support team. All aspects of life benefit from the input of others. Sometimes they see things in you or in your situation that you cannot see. Mentors can play a large role in moving your career forward. Be sure to keep in touch and stay connected with those who show interest in your work and your talents. Remember them and connect with them. Be sure to maintain multiple kinds of mentorships and provide room for those who know you to support you in a manner that is consistent with who they are. Your peers are also a really important part of your support system, and the people sitting to your right and your left right now, in front and behind you, they may play important roles in your life later. So cherish them. Another lesson that I learned is to reach for opportunities. I launched my faculty career with a focus on designing polymer materials for a range of electrochemical energy applications, including unique ways to incorporate natural components like viruses for the generation of battery electrodes and solar devices. Working with good colleagues and collaborators, I was fortunate enough to have an early impact. And one of my most memorable moments is showing a virus-based self-assembled battery with my collaborator, Angie Belcher, to President Obama. I love and value, yeah, he's still my favorite. I love and value that early work, but I had always wanted to work on material systems that would impact human health. Although it was a risk to move into an entirely new area at a time when I had finally gotten well established in the first field, I decided to take a sabbatical and spend time learning about biology, and I had only had freshman biology at that time. Although it took a few years to convince others in the field of biomedical materials enough to get my NIH proposals funded, I found students and supportive faculty along the way and ultimately introduced the area of drug delivery to my lab. Over the past several years, we've developed methods to help regenerate new bone tissue around implants, enable diabetic wounds to close and to lower scarring and burn tissue. The students in my lab have developed molecules that guide therapies into cartilage to heal joints and help with osteoarthritis. Among the things I'm most excited about is our work on cancer, and in particular ovarian cancer, one of the deadliest killers of women who suffer from cancer. It is the reason why we are working on these problems of true medical impact. The fact that I was able to take a risk years ago has led me to be able to have this impact now. So as you ponder your next steps, do not be afraid to think about what excites you, what ignites your passion, and where you want to have impact. Don't be afraid to expand your expertise or dive into new things, even if you only had one little class long ago to give you a hint of where you should go. And continue to do this now and later in your career. Finally, speaking of impact, here I want to share the most important message that I have for you today. Your perspective, your vision of what is possible, the kinds of problems you seek, and the approaches that you embrace, all of these things are unique to you. The world is full of problems, so many new ones that are unfolding right now and will have critical impact on our future. Science is a game that does not benefit from narrow solution sets, and difficult problems are best tackled when there are many minds at the table trying to solve them. Please remember that we need to hear your voice. No matter what area you end up working in, you bring a perspective that no one else can offer. Your presence in the field can make a difference in determining whether big issues such as climate change will be addressed in a manner that fairly and justly considers all people, that protects underrepresented people in a manner that is able to allow them resources. Your opinion and perspective can drive scientific approaches to better enable ethical practices of AI and computing, or find new spaces where such technologies will make a real difference to struggling communities around the world. Your eyes may see problems that others do not or cannot see, and your experiences may direct a different kind of approach to a problem that forms the ultimate solution. Your unique perspective or take on a problem will only be pursued by you, so build it, nurture it, extend it, and allow yourself to think big. As you engage the world, give yourself the belief and the voice that you need to ensure that your presence is felt. In turn, make note of your colleagues and neighbors and the value that they bring. As you begin to work with others, enforce an affirming culture in which all perspectives can be heard without constraint, remembering that different voices accelerate the progression of ideas. It is your generation that will permanently shift our science and technology culture to better enable engagement and inspiration from many people and cultures. Your participation will help address the difficult problems that we face in a fashion that is more equitable, more effective, and more expansive. The promise that you bring is in your very presence, your presence here today and in the future, and in your willingness to share it with the world. It is an honor to receive this degree along with you as you start your journeys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hammond. We really appreciate your presence today, and we are delighted to confer upon you this honorary degree along with the class of 2023. Thank you so much.
President Shears Ashby, as the Chief Academic Officer of the University, it is my pleasure to declare the convocation officially open for the awarding of earned degrees. Graduates, please stand. President Shears Ashby, I have the honor of presenting the candidates recommended by the faculty of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science.
Graduates, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the state of Maryland given to the Board of Regents and the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and by them entrusted to me, I hereby admit you to the degrees which you have earned during your course of studies at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, in token whereof you shall be given a diploma with all of the honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Thank you all. Graduates, could you please be seated and remain seated until the commencement staff escort you to the stage. Now, before we invite graduates to cross the stage, we want to share with you a short video recognizing our graduates who can't be with us today, but who will be participating virtually. Please help us cheer them on here and online. And if you are a graduate joining us virtually, please post in the chat so that we can celebrate you.
Vanessa Ajay. Jessica Kristen Baniak, magna cum laude. Bethlehem Kinfa Gebra Medhin. Michaela Marie Hopper, cum laude. Sehun Kim. Lynette Chelagut Kipchurcher. Sierra Principe Salarson. Sebastian Javier Lecha, cum laude. Raphael Lee. Kevin Keespe. Dave Donald Sina. Brandon Ray Tringa. James Edward Weber. Raymond Garhall Shue.
Today, each graduate will receive a memento from the UMBC Alumni Association. Representing the Alumni Association Board of Directors today is its president, Mr. Brian Frazee. Brian is one of 90,000 UMBC alumni worldwide. He obtained his bachelor's degree in political science in 2011 and a master's of public policy in 2012. He is currently Vice President of Government Affairs for the Maryland Hospital Association. Please join me in thanking Brian for his support. I now call upon Dr. William LaCourse, Dean of the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences.
President Shears Ashby, Provost Rouse, I have the honor of welcoming the accomplished, the remarkable, and most importantly, the cherished students from the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences who have completed all requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts.
We now present the graduates in biochemistry and molecular biology. Toluwani Akin Shalure. Eunice Ananakwa. Sarah Denise Arietta, summa cum laude. Tiffany Marie Dodua Bacco. Ellie Catherine Baer, cum laude. Kimberly Barrios Magana. Gilila N. Begashaw. Julian Carl Blotner. Samuel Rose Christensen. Kirsten Nicole Crockett, cum laude. Sonali L. Dansu, magna cum laude. Kayla Crescencia Diaz, magna cum laude. Kelvin Fado Jutimi, cum laude. Alyssa Caroline Foster, magna cum laude. John Charles Galarizzo. Andrew Gedra, cum laude. Alexander Joseph Guizdala, summa cum laude. Victor Carinde. Duina Sima Haj Mabruk, magna cum laude. Frederic Emma Ejani Kumeni. Amir Ledbetter. Jiao Bao Liang, summa cum laude. Lumkike Fobaze. Thomas Matthew McDavitt, cum laude. Benjamin Maluso, magna cum laude. Shadia Nahar. Hector Negrete. Simeon Abineth Nelson, magna cum laude. Avi M. Newman. Melissa Helen Nguyen. Sun Hai Nguyen. Oluwatomisin Esther Olajide, magna cum laude. Grayson Davis Pfeiffer, magna cum laude. Varsha Pudi, magna cum laude.
Waverly Reginato.
Tasnia Sadat. Joshua Daniel Salzer, magna cum laude. Jasmine Abad Shebani. Selena Sriatana Parom, cum laude. Maya Rosemary Tandravi, summa cum laude. Carlos Francis Veloso. Christopher Robert Welsh, summa cum laude. Danielle Wilson, magna cum laude. Bryce Vincent Whitmer, cum laude. Jiayu Zhao, cum laude. We now present the graduates in chemistry and biochemistry. Yoav Margolis. Elijah Mugabe, magna cum laude. Sukhvir Singh, magna cum laude. Bradley Michael Stamler, cum laude. Taylor Lee Thorson, magna cum laude. We now present the graduates in biological sciences. Noamaka Agbim. Oben Eric Agboranyo. Josue Edgar Aguilar Lazo, cum laude. Manal Ismat Asan, magna cum laude. David Uchenna Alozi. Nia Anderson. Nana Kojo Ansa, magna cum laude. Subhan Ahmed Ansari. Zoma Desta Atanafu. Sai Supritha Badugu, cum laude. Hiba Ashraf Bekri, summa cum laude. Jason Benegas. Ethan Martin Barley. Jessica M. Bendler. Eden A. Bayene, magna cum laude. Sarah Bayer. Naman Bandari, magna cum laude. Surabi Anuruddha Bhatt. Mame Araba Bagwa Brookman, magna cum laude. Katrina Bucci, magna cum laude. Shelvan Anise Burton. Susanna Hill Cadigan, summa cum laude. Laura Guadalupe Cardona, cum laude. Alana Noel Carter, summa cum laude. Simarpreet Kaur Chawla, magna cum laude. Amanda Chen, magna cum laude. Camille Alyssa Chestnut, magna cum laude. Sunit Chantial. Ananya Pukraj Chowdhury, magna cum laude. Anne Cecile Eveline Chutajem Kamga Kamagunya. Ahmed Shamir Chowdhury, magna cum laude. Megan Renee Connor, cum laude. Arha Malik, magna cum laude. Zoya Ahmed. Kim Huang Nguyen, cum laude. Angelina Tuck, magna cum laude. Christian Jose Cruz. Catherine Bao Han Dang. Victoria Daniel Okeke. Proshun Kanti Das, summa cum laude. Kyle A. Davis, summa cum laude. Sarah DeLeon. Tu Tandin, summa cum laude. Fatumata Aya Dumbia. Sedyan Dongmo Tito. Noah Eaton. Hamza Syed Faisallah. Natalie Elizabeth Faluzis. Bibong Kayla Fomengia, cum laude. Angie Nicole Galvan. Kristen Gamboa, cum laude. Io Nari Nieso George. Ryan Matthew George, magna cum laude. Beyonce Yasmin Getacho. Jean Marie Farron, magna cum laude. Bethel Miriam Gazai, cum laude. Sri Samita V. Gorakavi. Hafsa Hafiz Goto. Kevin Patrick Gibbons, cum laude. Kurtiandra Violinta Ginting. Madeline Rose Goldstein. Madison Goodwin, magna cum laude. Anna Green. Karen S. Griffin, magna cum laude. Evan Thomas Groh. Summer Yeoram Ha, cum laude. Dina Haj Mabruk, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Marie Hall, magna cum laude. Arish Fahim Hanif, magna cum laude. Ahmed Mohammed Hassan. Jenna Renee Hawley, summa cum laude. Kayla Afi Hegby, magna cum laude. Hannah Swigun Hlue. Sophia Elizabeth Hoffman, magna cum laude. Adiba Hossein. Alexandria Isabella Howe, summa cum laude. Ira Hussein, magna cum laude. Mabek Moreno Ibayan, cum laude. Denaya Imam, magna cum laude. Stephen Andre Isabel. Phoebe Olua Palumi Ismail, magna cum laude. Madeline Beth Jansen. Sonia Jaral. Rebecca Olivia John, cum laude. Adam Aria Kamalvand, summa cum laude. Melissa Alexis Kamika. Samin Kamui. Inde Rokaya Kane, magna cum laude. Hannah Kang, magna cum laude. Mona Kang, cum laude. Nadia Kanam, magna cum laude. Vivian Koo, magna cum laude. Autumn Marie Knight. Gabriel Ayobami Koleosho. Stephanie Susan Koshi, cum laude. Dylan Kwan. Annalisa Quinty Lamb. Francis Lapid, cum laude. Alex Lazari, cum laude. Annie Lee. Mi Bao Lee, cum laude. Terrence Dominic Lasiguez. Emmeline Ann Letourneau. Carla Patricia Lopez Alvarado, cum laude. Germany Lewis. Kayla Chanel Lyons. Zara Mahmood, cum laude. Marius B. Maforican. Emily Faith Marinko, cum laude. Nicholas James Martinell. Andrea Elizabeth Martinez. Manvir Kaur Mataru. Zumar Mayer, magna cum laude. Mary Maher Masiha. Eric J. Macarsos. Chukwudi Dennis Obiemeka McPassy Jr., cum laude. Quinn E. Mood, summa cum laude. Caroline McCordick Moore, cum laude. Ana Mencia Moreno Chaza. Sara Motemedi, cum laude. Stefanos Mulder Stupakis. Amna Musa, magna cum laude. Ethan Na. Sabani Gomadi Lachandalingam, magna cum laude. Minatola A. Nasser. Nivya Navarathna, magna cum laude. Eden Mulugeta Neka. Ishan Nupane. Wook Wen Tin Ngo, magna cum laude. Rachel Huyen Nguyen. Trini Vu Wen. Vivian Vivi Wen, summa cum laude. Alisa Ni. Noel Chinyer Njoku. Izuna Namdi Nadozi. Christelle Angwari Timbenwange. Mara Imani Nyakoi. Joshua Ike Ogbena. Gloria Ogordi. Faith Ogunleye. Similolua Grace Olatunde. Marvin Obina Onwukwe, magna cum laude. Elena M. Owens. Ravdeep Panasar, magna cum laude. Avni A. Patel, summa cum laude. Parth Patel. Ashley Scaria Patamati. Samiksha Podel. Savannah Ray Pearson, summa cum laude. Jillian Catherine Perry, cum laude. Kayla Marie Phillips, magna cum laude. Kara Faith Poole. Jessica Stephanie Preswell. Betsy Quay. Janelle May Kunanan Kim Bao, summa cum laude. Kenya Raphael. Jacob Stephen Raleigh. Emily Elizabeth Redmond, magna cum laude. Ergene Safira Remy. Milan E. Richardson. Lindsay Anise Rivers, magna cum laude. Angie Denise Rodriguez. Hannah Rosbach. Fuad Saidi, summa cum laude. Zaleh Huma Saline, magna cum laude. Madison Lynn Santizo, magna cum laude. Hadia Soroya, summa cum laude. Irina Spornova, summa cum laude. Finarel Lucas Schaefer, summa cum laude. Jacob Michael Sirio. Arsh Haytal Shah, magna cum laude. Timaj Abdulaziz Sharif, cum laude. Shayna Luba-Spitzik. Casman Ika Smith, magna cum laude. Laura Elizabeth Sparenberg. Rena Tam, cum laude. Matthew Gregory Saniza Tampus, summa cum laude. Harut Tatarian, magna cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth Taylor, summa cum laude. Yadel Kasahun Temeskin. VJ Miles Wee Torres. Sierra Brooke Toston, magna cum laude. Kirsten Vikan Tran, summa cum laude. Sophia Tran, cum laude. Kwa An Trin. Linda Nyok Tu, cum laude. Shreya Awinash Tukli, cum laude. Oyindamola Adesola Tunde Adeyemo. Viveka Chico Dinaka Okadike. Chelsea Umezarike. Sanihita Ventrapati. Tristan Wade Verben Hedger. Allison Julia Visconti. Mai Nyok Vo, cum laude. Sharwin Ravi Chantar Vayapuri. Zakaria Wahid, summa cum laude. Karis Elizabeth Weisgerber, summa cum laude. Stephanie Grace Wilson, magna cum laude. Colton T. Witt. Elena May Elizabeth Ann Wong. Jasmine Wong. Sheila Nanama Yaboa, summa cum laude. Jennifer Hyo Ri Yim, cum laude. Eden Yosef Gessese. Madia Zabe, cum laude. Destiny Cheyenne Zorns, magna cum laude.
We now present the graduates in Translational Life Science Technology.
Sadia Ashfaq, magna cum laude. Andrew Bazilla. Jose Alvaro Hernandez Alfaro. Srey Kadka Chetri, magna cum laude. Brandon Alexander Lamotte. Maji Lodumgoto. Anulichi C. Okori. Samantha Petros. Cassandra Pollard. Bianca Michelle Tercios Reyes. Sharifa Yar. We now present the graduates in Mathematics and Statistics. Robert Maximilian Barrett. Veronica Olita Cardosa, cum laude. Justin Charles de la Cruz del Rosario. Adedoyin Ayodeji Fashina. Ruth Ferguson. Alexander Perrin Flitter, cum laude. Kristen Elizabeth Galuska, cum laude. Carly Marie Gernert, summa cum laude. Robert James Goldman. Talia Naomi Greenblatt, summa cum laude. Jamie Heim. Jack William Hickman, cum laude. Kyle Ingram Johnson, cum laude. Cy McCarthy, magna cum laude. Ryan Michael McShay. William Zether Mitchell, magna cum laude. Kellen Daniel Morris, cum laude. Rehema Micella. Sivan Lore Odenwald. Chimeli Jessica Oyakon, cum laude. Josephine Y. Oshagbemi, magna cum laude. Gwyneth Marie Owens, magna cum laude. Valerie Blair Palmer. Mia Janae Penn, cum laude. Zan Kudsi. Kaylin Lee Richardson, magna cum laude. Ryan Neal Robinson. Wayne Thomas Robinson, magna cum laude. Morgan Grace Small, cum laude. Micah Joseph Smith. Nathan Tamiru, magna cum laude. Fave Allen Hortolano Viduya. Oluwatobi Akinyemi. James Alexander Karamanico, magna cum laude. Benjamin Geyer Chambly, Nicholas Vincent Corbin, Annie Tan Huang, cum laude. Shanina Ko, Corey Jacob Schulman, Brooke Alexandra Springfield, cum laude. We now present the graduates in physics. Layla Ahmed, cum laude. Kelly Ray Christiansen, Emily Elizabeth Ferketic, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Sinwell Kane, magna cum laude. Brian Robert Lynch, summa cum laude. Daniel James McBride, cum laude. Joshua Anthony Devon Richards, Matthew T. Varghese, summa cum laude. Sarah Ann Wampler,
I now call upon Dr. Keith Bauman, Dean of the College of Engineering and Information Technology.
President Shears Ashby and Provost Rouse, I have the honor of welcoming the resilient and determined students from the College of Engineering and Information Technology who have completed all requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science.
We now present the graduates in Chemical, Biochemical, and Environmental Engineering. Javaria Amjad, Maxwell Paul Bobbin, cum laude. Aishwarya Bobby, magna cum laude. Brianna Nicole Bogner, Zachary James Gray Bogart, magna cum laude. Sierra Grace Butler, Jason Eman Krensel, magna cum laude. Taylor K. De Silva, cum laude. Sarah Doniyahi, magna cum laude. Van Laldu, Lucia Garcia, Joanna Ide Hernandez, Phoebe Hurlbert, Andrew Hurdle, Diego Iglesias Vega, magna cum laude. Ibrahim Kaba, Joy Wangari Kiguro, magna cum laude. Arman ul Haq Kashwaha, cum laude. Lila E. Marino, Morgan Brooke Magruder, Madison McLaren, magna cum laude. Chelsea T. Mikal, cum laude. Rachel Kristen Myers, summa cum laude. Uriel Banza Dalamba, magna cum laude. Mary Elizabeth Nolan, summa cum laude. Oluwafunmike Precious Oyenloye, magna cum laude. Wanwei Pan, cum laude. Anish Paudel, Mitchell Paul Richards, Randall Paul Rogers, Rodney Masimba Sachiti, Andrew James Sanford, Sean Kyle Seraphin, summa cum laude. Neha Sian, Margaret Therese P. Shao, cum laude. Atef Siddiqui, Jennifer Gale Thomas, magna cum laude. Cody Thompson, Troy Dante Thompson, cum laude. Samantha Elizabeth Thorwart, summa cum laude. Grace Tugado, cum laude. Joshua David Tull. Stacy Villanueva, cum laude. Anthony Zui Vu. Christina Marie Wilson, magna cum laude. Catherine Marie Rayback, summa cum laude. Reem AMH Sultan. We now present the graduates in Computer Science and Electrical Engineering. Christopher I. Slaughter, summa cum laude. Kenneth Elam Kwame Addo, magna cum laude. Zayad Ahmed, cum laude. Richard N. Asia, cum laude. Catherine Allen. Feyi Folua Alonge. Brendan Anstead. Bodhi An Page Arnold. Syed Hamza Asad, summa cum laude. Chinamso Ashigo, cum laude. Natalia Ray Barber, summa cum laude. Nicholas Monroe Baldwin. Connor Boy, summa cum laude. Jarrett Stephen Bowman. Matthew A. Brown. Paisley Vidine Code, summa cum laude. Charles Melvin Commodore, cum laude. Hunter William Curry. Joshua David Bush. Gabrielle Ann Buswell, cum laude. Joshua Lewis Burns, magna cum laude. Riley Campbell. Andrew Paul Chan, cum laude. Kevin Chen, magna cum laude. Jason Chen. Yuen Chen, summa cum laude. Emerson Keller Cho. Joshua Chongo. Michael Chukwara. Mary Adele Ann Kimmer, magna cum laude. Shalise Ileana Clark, summa cum laude. Daniel Oliver Cleaver, summa cum laude. Tyler Martin Curry, magna cum laude. Kyle Matthew Dell, magna cum laude. Alan Dia. Lowen Nathan DePaula, magna cum laude. Zachary Kumar Dua, cum laude. Adnan Dasu. Michael J. Varaman Duong. Reed Garrison Eberly, magna cum laude. Caden Sebastian Ertel, magna cum laude. William Kamalama Lama Onalani Farias. Justin Jiming Fong, magna cum laude. Avalon R. Furman. Blair Christopher Fitzhugh. Evan Reiner Franz Zuniga. Blair Christopher Fitzhugh. Wilson Funk, magna cum laude. Blair Evan Reiner Franz Zuniga. Wilson Funk, magna cum laude. Tristan Jacob Galsick, magna cum laude. Jason Adrian Garcia Solorzano. Udaya Ratnam Garapati. Adrian Daniel Goddard, cum laude. Gavin Anthony Griever. Kyle Lewis Gregory, cum laude. Luke Martin Goody. William Hanrahan, cum laude. Jalen Nassim Hardy. Michael Harrigan, magna cum laude. James Lloyd Harris, summa cum laude. Micah S. Havens, summa cum laude. Lauren Catherine Hayden, cum laude. Nathan Sinclair Hornline, summa cum laude. Samantha Houchins. Edward Stephen Humes. Chidera Obi Uwudike. Riley Keegan Jackson. Xin Jing. Ife Abel Jacob, magna cum laude. Casey Zoe Jones, cum laude. Tremia Altriana Johnson. Devin Kapoor. Opiemi Kushemiju. Raymond A. Karashan. Osman Karzai. Raymond D. Kemanswam. Daniel Kavrutsky. Joni Kim. Andrew Martin Knight. Ton Quang Lee. Joseph Lee, magna cum laude. Jake Reuben Listenby. Alex H. Lloyd. Keenan Long. Christian Anthony Lustowski, magna cum laude. Thomas Robert Maddox, cum laude. Mihal Magidson, cum laude. Dustin Mommet. Erin Tricia Malagar, cum laude. Sammy Mammal, magna cum laude. Brandon Jacob Mangum, cum laude. Peter William Marchand. Joshua David Martin. Gabriel Martins Figueiredo. Andrew Matthew, summa cum laude. Dennis Ryan Mayer, cum laude. Jacob McHugh. Pierce Alexander Mackenzie. Nino Gregory Medina, magna cum laude. Daniel Michael Milani, summa cum laude. Akil Amir Mohammed, cum laude. Tanner Moan. Alina Momin. David Neil Monak. Colin Michael Mood. Abdul Rahman Nasser. Adrian Neff, summa cum laude. David Wynn, magna cum laude. Asian Wynn, cum laude. Patrick Hong Dok Nguyen, summa cum laude. Zachary D. Wen, cum laude. Nicholas S. Norfolk. Mohammed Anwar Noor. Jude Omar, cum laude. Abdul Salam Olamelekon Odetayo, cum laude. Ayodele Moyanolua Odeshia, cum laude. Daniel Oluwafemi Omolua. Suraj Pami. Joshua Songhun Park. Nathan Park. George Dwayne Parson. Jenna Doreen Pasternak, magna cum laude. Denish Pasupuleti, cum laude. Krishna Patel, cum laude. Reuben Phillips, cum laude. Dennis Pilipchak, cum laude. Stephen Policelli, cum laude. Jason Trent Polan, cum laude. Aria Gabrielle Porcher. Alim Alana Prince, cum laude. Cynthia Yen Quach, summa cum laude. Matthew Conway Quast, cum laude. Van Phi Qui. Isabel Armane Rathbun. Alana Alyssa Reyes, magna cum laude. Quentin Arthur Richards. David Kyle Ichmat Rivera, magna cum laude. Edgar Rivera Martinez. Edward G. Robinson. Glenn Everett Rogowski. Daniel Joseph Roseberry, magna cum laude. Jacob Spencer Rubenstein, magna cum laude. Nia Samuels. Sienna Lee Sirio, summa cum laude. Mahmoud Shalbi. Dagem Sinke, magna cum laude. Devin Sloniker, summa cum laude. Xavier Alexander Smith, magna cum laude. Michael Carter Sniffen. Kenneth J. Somerville. Omar Amjed Schroer. Hannah Abigail Stasek. Thomas Anthony Stinson. Robert Carlton Stuckey, cum laude. Naomi Tack, summa cum laude. Naohito Takeda. Matthew Kadane Teklehimanot. Nathaniel Joseph Therian, cum laude. Brianna Nehanda Turgot, summa cum laude. Jonah Kalechi Ukayabu. Luke Garrison Vantran, magna cum laude. Stephen Marion Vaudrey, cum laude. Roberto C. Villanueva, magna cum laude. Rabin Benny Vitha Yathil, summa cum laude. An Vo. Sumbul Vohra, magna cum laude. Sabrina Wolfman, summa cum laude. Ivan Andreevich Volkov. Elijah Gregory Wallace. Thomas Sing-Wai Wang. Dylan Matthew Ward. Kyle Ashton Ward, cum laude. Weizong Wang. William Alexander Daly Wills, cum laude. Miles Jacob Wilson. Jack Wong. Nathan Wickett Wong, magna cum laude. Joshua Woods. John Christopher Veras, magna cum laude. Johnson Xue. Timothy Michael Yingling, summa cum laude. Kevin Lee Jiang. Mohammed Nias. Uzaifa bin Zia. We now present the graduates in Information Systems. Nur Eldin Abdel Motagali, magna cum laude. Hassan Mohsin Ansari, cum laude. Pedro Rafael Aguilar II. Gautam Anantha. Dean C. Angelos, magna cum laude. Sadia Afrin Alam, magna cum laude. Snowlin Alex. Nof Ahmed Al-Shamlan Al-Nuemi. Zoya Aman, cum laude. Imama B. Asif. Radwan Azam, Justin Bajer, Bo Stanley Betama, Justin Beecher, Hamza Hayat Bhatti, Matthew Bisco, magna cum laude. Eunice Antwi Boasiaco, cum laude. David Bricken, Robert Paul Brossois, Moise Butt, magna cum laude. Morgan Bailey Kollerick, cum laude. Christina Heryun Chan, Julia Elise Colton, magna cum laude. Changshen Chen, Wentao Chen, Haram Chun, magna cum laude. Logan Wesley Coulter, Nadia Cooper, cum laude. Anil Deepak Daryanani, magna cum laude. Catherine Rivera de Guzman, Elena Josephine de Magestri, Joshua Dennis, Sophie Dong, Austin Joseph Gaquin, Joel Solomon Evans, cum laude. Ailu Nigus Fanta, magna cum laude. Ethan Emmett Fries, Janine Elizabeth Go, summa cum laude. Shika Kantilal Gandalia, cum laude. Tanvir Kaur Grewal, magna cum laude. Roshni Desai, Yabisira S. Gruga, Jenna Elizabeth Harbin, cum laude. Seth Elan Thomas Hardy, Sylvia P. Hernandez, Raja Jahanzeb Hussain, Aditi Jha, Sung Ji, Syed Furqan F. Jilani, Yisak Kagnu, Kyle Alexander Keener, Gurkanwar Singh Kangura, Dong Yu Kim, magna cum laude. Sachin Saji Kumar, Timothy June Kim, Jenny Lynn Lam, magna cum laude. Tain Yat Lam, Karen Law, Zachary Glenn Livesey, Fitsum Avera Lorenzo, Michaela Ludwig, Raif Mahmood, cum laude. Umar Shahid Malik, Liliana Abigail Mahano Santos, cum laude. Joshua Marciante, magna cum laude. Janet Titilope Martins, Parag Bhupendra Mayani, magna cum laude. Rohit Bimal Menon, Zachary Miller, Adil Mohammed, cum laude. Bilal Moazzam, cum laude. Natasha Multani, Af Munir, Brandon Tyree Nickens, Katerina Laura Nitz, cum laude. Lucrece Gowu Koda, Amy Didieu Bisimwa Nyunda, cum laude. Samir Kapoor, Megan Elizabeth Madison, summa cum laude. Mahalet Mesfin, Joshua James Oler. Olisayameka Charles Okolo. Alexander Park, magna cum laude. Yesha D. Patel. Kang Pham Dang. Dwarmian Panetta. Arunav Pradhan. Carolyn Deepa Prem. Bilal Kamar, cum laude. Fairuz Rahman. Matthew Jeffrey Ramsey Key. Nitin Raj. Ben M. Raphael, magna cum laude. Avni Rastogi. Shania Reese, cum laude. Rojeen Rezai. Melissa Teferi Regassa. Flavio Reyes. Benjamin Michael Roberts. Sabrina Elaine Rodriguez. David Rogers. Joshua Grant Rosenberger. Joshua Richard Sanchez. Sai Nishanth Nagalapuram. Catherine Tessa Schlee. Lindsay Nicole Schmith, magna cum laude. Mark Senkis. Nicholas John Shumar. Zainab Sheikh, cum laude. Haider Nasir Sial, cum laude. Alexander Mackenzie Smith. Muntaha Sultana, cum laude. Cameron Romello Smith. Alexander John Sporgitas, magna cum laude. Caitlin Rose Stewart. Chanel Morgan Stott. Michael Allen Strathman, cum laude. Arjun Ronan Sutherland. Alexander John Swan. Donald Benjamin Sykes, cum laude. Adebenro Oluwatomi Lola Adeduro. Syra Tariq, summa cum laude. Justin N. Tai. Joshua Nansel Topian. Nguyen Tran. Zainab Siddiqui, magna cum laude. Alik Morales Trotman, cum laude. Kento Uchida. Bradley Ethan Udwin. Kayla Mary Lou Tomas, magna cum laude. Mohammed Arman Ullah. Nandu Unikrishnan. Jia Bao Vo. Nikita Wagodi. Ying Ying Wang. Alexander Washington. Victor A. Washington. Wyatt Wilhelmi. Samuel Michael Winters McCabe. Zainab Yakini. Tibebu Yimmer, cum laude.
Aruj Zia.
Jason David Zicka. We now present the graduates in mechanical engineering. Tyler Dane Atkins. Kevin William Ambrosich, summa cum laude. David V. Antonenko. summa cum laude. Omar Saul Argueta. Alec Edward Atwell. Juliana Florence Bertay. Kelly Lan Boyer, cum laude. Justin Allen Bunkley. Aldred Bentley Tenorio Kalilung. Jackson Eric Carter, cum laude. Michael Chapman. Michael Anthony Cole, cum laude. Nicholas Benjamin Craddock, summa cum laude. Zachary W. Deal, cum laude. Claude Samira Chikongu, cum laude. Kira Song Della Camera, cum laude. Samuel Dennison, cum laude. Harris Ejaz. Griffin Spiro Ewine. Donna Natalie Fiestas, cum laude. Shannon Kathleen Finch, cum laude. Jaden Gopez. Justin Foster Greenwell Jr., summa cum laude. Madeline Gruel. Dane Christopher Hall, cum laude. Armand Harley, cum laude. Imani Hassel. Cheyenne Higgitis. Yusuf Muhammad Higazi, cum laude. Benjamin Carroll Huber, cum laude. Dimitri Darid Hudziak. Jamie Muriel Erringen. Courtney Collette Jones, magna cum laude. Colin Damon Keplinger. Daniel Zia Khan. Ayush Khurana. Dylan Mitchell Kreckman, cum laude. Fali Biova Cuevadin Kowovi. Anthony Gabriel Lavesa, cum laude. Mateo Loaiza. Ethan Magbuhos. Shawan Mahmood. Toby Majikodumi, summa cum laude. Manu Sam Matthew, cum laude. Jacob Charles McCallum. Yafet Mabratu. Dexter Raphael Merritt. Aaron Songo Pungwe. Jared Michael Neno, cum laude. Michael Stephen Orline, cum laude. Zaria Janae Oliver. Eric Michael Puckett Jr. Abigail Elizabeth Pugh, cum laude. Danielle Christie Roten, summa cum laude. Hidia Taslim bint Sadiq. Joseph David Schlee. Umar Sadiq. Sidney Simmons, cum laude. Alexander J. Theologus. Tien Hu Tran. Chizaram Goodness Ubo. Varun Vivekanandan. Alyssa Ann Wagner. Lauren Maylee Duchen Wagner, magna cum laude. Israel Mordechai Wilkach, cum laude. Cooper Ross Wilcox, cum laude. Tesfa Michael Solomon Worku. Caroline Audrey Zentz. Timothy David Zagorski, cum laude.
I now call on Dr. Catherine Cole, Dean of Undergraduate Academic Affairs.
Thank you.
President Shears Ashby, Provost Rouse, I have the honor of welcoming the passionate and innovative students from the Division of Undergraduate Academic Affairs who have completed all requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science.
We now present the graduates in individualized study. Taya Mackenzie Decker, magna cum laude. Meyer Joseph Fishman. Trenton Mercadel, cum laude. Bilkis A. Sheikh Issa.
Thank you all. Congratulations again to each one of you. Let's give the class of 2023 a round of applause. And now, graduates, I ask that you do me a favor. If you will please stand, graduates, and applaud all these people who are surrounding you who have made this day possible for you. Graduates, as you remain standing, now I invite you to participate in a joyful tradition to symbolize your accomplishments, the turning of your tassels. Would you please now turn your tassels from right to left? Congratulations, class of 2023. Join me in welcoming the UMBC Camerata and Jubilee Singers to lead us in our alma mater. They are led today by Janice Jackson, and we are delighted to have them. The words can be found on the back of your program. After the alma mater, we ask that you remain at your seats. Our program will be concluded by our Grand Marshal, and then the platform party and students will recess. Please wait to leave until the platform party has left the floor.
Hail, alma mater, our UMBC, boldly bearing your colors, the whole world to see, striving together in true unity. Black, gold, forever we're reminded of thee. Proudly we hail to thee, our UMBC. Throughout the ages, our UMBC, songs and memories still echo with true clarity. Knowledge and wisdom and truth we found here. Friendships we treasure that will last through the years. Proudly we hail to thee, our UMBC.
I now invite the Grand Marshal, Dr. Susan McDonough, to conclude our ceremony.
everyone kindly remain standing until the platform party has recessed. Family and friends are asked to meet the graduates outside of the arena. On behalf of the UMBC community, congratulations, everyone!
Thank you.